Hello and welcome to the 28th Film Fest Hamburg. I'm thrilled to be here today with the two Nigerian filmmakers that did this magnificent film, EYIMOFE, This Is My Desire. Hello, Chuko and Arie Esiri.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
So, you're twin brothers from Nigeria. You studied film in New York, and with EYIMOFE, you have your first feature film that made quite of a buzz at this year's Berlinale. My first question would be about the main theme of EYIMOFE. I think it's a film about migration, even though the characters never leave the city of Lagos. Why did you tackle this subject from this stay-at-home point of view? Why didn't you actually show the going away?
Approaching it from a intra-national perspective came from a desire to make what we call an anti-migration film. Only it, to the extent that most films we've seen about migrations from Africa to Europe, it's always from from the perspective of the dire journey, the hazardous trip, or from all the struggles when they get to the other side in Europe. And you never really get to know who these people are as people. You don't see their lives, you don't see what they're coming from, you never get to understand that the decision they make to leave is a really big decision. It's not taken lightly, because you're leaving your family, you're leaving the things that you grew up with, the things you're familiar with. So it was really that. Even on the news, it's always people literally drowning in oceans or people in detention camps, and we wanted to humanize them. And so we set the film. We knew that they were not going to leave. It was going to very much be about their lives and the people in their lives and what they're leaving.
So your work is also, if you want, a bit similar to the work that Moffat, one of the protagonists, do. So because he is repairing things, and in a certain way, are you repairing images that people have about Nigerians or adjusting them?
Absolutely. It's strange. We live in a very connected world, but I'll speak for Nigeria because Africa is obviously not a country, but there's very little light shone on the people in general. If you do a Google search of Nigeria, it's probably going to be Boko Haram and online internet scammers. But we're a big country. We're a country of 200 million people, and that is just a very, very small proportion of it. And I think the more we as a global community learn to see and appreciate the similarities between us, the better off we'll be generally. So definitely adjusting the image and showing people existing as they exist anywhere on this planet is a very big part of what we seek to do.
You two are co-directing, or you co-directed the film. How do you share your work? Do you usually argue a lot on set, or does it all go smoothly?
I think it depends who you ask, really. Our assistant director and our producer might think that we butt heads often, but no, for us, it's a very I don't know. I thought it was a fairly seamless process. I, for the most part, was in charge of, or was the overseer of everything visual, all the visual aspects of the film mainly. And Chuko, who was the writer, spent most of his time with the actors. For example, in pre-production, you would find me shortlisting with the cinematographer, conversing with the production designer as well about how we wanted to attack some of the spaces visually. And Chuko would go off and do rehearsals with the actors, and then at the end of the day, we would share notes. So Chuko would bring back videos from the work that he did with certain actors, and I would sort of present a shot list for, you know, maybe the first 5 days and talk about how I was thinking of approaching the film from a visual standpoint. But obviously there's a lot of conversation that happens before that. You know, we already had our reference films. We already had a general idea of how we wanted to render EYIMOFE cinematically, the script anyway.
In other interviews, you were mentioning some of your influences, and among others, directors of Taiwan and Taiwanese cinema, like filmmakers as Hu Shaoxian or Edward Yang. So what is this, or what is there you can learn from those directors and from the cinema?
For me, what those films do remarkably is transport you to a place. I've never been east of Dubai, but through having watched 3 or 4 of between Hu Shaoxian and Edward Yang, watching their films, I feel quite intimate with Taiwan. I feel like I've been there, and the manner in which they shoot their films is they really give you the opportunity to sink into the atmosphere. They don't mind if your eye moves away from the main characters and you're sort of paying attention to the small details of life happening around the characters or in the scene. And that what I found was, as you're watching the film, 10, 20, 30 minutes into the film, you sort of just sink into this place and it becomes very familiar, and it's just the atmosphere of it. So I think for me, shooting a place like Lagos, it was trying to not exoticize it in a way. I think that's what they successfully do. They don't exoticize the location. It's just a location. And part of doing that is the style in which they use. And that was a big thing for us, was to make it a film and to make Lagos feel real.
Yeah, and I think part of that familiarity comes very much from what the characters are going through. You know, they're doing things that you do. You know, there are these wonderful scenes in EE where the father of the family walks into spaces and forgets things. You know, and you're just like, oh wow, I do exactly the same thing. And I think that was definitely an ambition for us to get people to understand that the human experience is a shared one, and have our characters sort of maneuver or make their way through Lagos and maneuver all of these tasks that they have to do, just like anyone else would anywhere else in the world, and make it feel a little bit more quotidian.
Your film, EYIMOFE, it's not just an anti-migration film, if you want so, but it's also a sort of anti-melodrama. So love, like I'm thinking about the story of Rosa and her failed love story with the American guy, Peter. So it's not love that blasts away the barriers that society imposes on the lovers, but it's actually the other way around. So is love just an impossible dream or an illusion that falls quickly into pieces when reality comes in?
I studied melodrama at school, and I'm particularly interested in de-dramatization, and I think that's sort of a tool that we use, and Chuko actually had in the script already. But this is something that we've talked about. But I'm interested in it as a tool to make things real.
The city of Lagos, it's like a third character in the film. It's as vibrant as it is chaotic. And I wonder, could you name me maybe the top 5 difficulties you had shooting in Lagos?
I don't know if I have up to 5. It was really like, yeah, it was really like, I was about to say, it was really like 3 main things. Number 3 is traffic. Traffic in Lagos is a nightmare. It's just, wow. No rules. Well, the rules are on paper, but it can take you 3 hours to get to a location that's like 15 minutes away. Like it's so chaotic. I think the second thing would be finding all the requisite equipment and crew you need. And I think the number one thing is control. There's so many people, everyone doing their own thing, a thousand different tasks. There's some locations like the market, for example, when we were scouting, and some of the crew members that came in from outside were like, oh, well, we could, is there a way to block this off and shoot here without disturbance? And it's like, that's never going to happen. Like we have to find a perch and make it work within this way. You're never going to be able to shut down a street and make it work. It's just so difficult. You shot on film, didn't you?
Ultimately, there's a certain romanticism that we hold for film, and I think there's a certain quality that it gives, and character that it gives the film and the city. Lagos is just so vibrant, and we just felt like it deserved to be captured on the best technology out there, which is film. And I think it also added to the intimacy of the story.
One last question concerning the script writing. Chuko, do you think it's easier to write about a city if you're not there?
I'm very bad at writing in a vacuum. The distance, most of it was written in Lagos. The earlier drafts were mainly written in New York because the script was I used it to graduate. It was my graduating thesis. So a big chunk of the first few drafts were done in New York. But there's so much you miss when you're divorced from a place. And I think the way I personally work is I really love to be in a location. I love to see the rhythms and the patterns of it.
Thank you very much for this talk. And thank you so much for having made this wonderful film. I wish you the very best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Arie. Such a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.